In cosmic science, we define time-space as a medium that exists for the organization of life and forms. And we have physical time spaces and numerous inner world time spaces to explore. As chief builders operating in divine will, we're tasked with laying the foundations for the golden ages. So we begin with the imaginal realm, which contains our ideas, our thoughts, desires, dreams, imaginations, memories, and so forth. In the book of Time Space, Volume 5, there are 3 examples of different levels of time space. The first level, spiritual time space. This deals with the biopsychic area of our brain. It is where the first time dimension, 7th time dimension, and the 2nd time dimension reside. It's also known as the crown. The second is psychomythical time space, which is where we go to decipher hidden truths in myths that we hear. It usually starts off as once upon a time, or it can also be some very ancient writings. The third level is cosmophysiological time space, and this deals with the thought forms such as what stars, what galaxies that we came from. Memory. Memory assists us by supplying us data to evolve our time spaces. Psychobiology helps us to envision ourselves in potential futures, which means that not only are we going to use informative samadhi from the 2nd mental sphere, but we will also use the 7th mental sphere, the evolving organ, the hollow mind perceiver, that gives us the access to the Akashic records. In this video, our focus is on the biological organization of time-space. This refers to how our being is organized physically and how all of life represents a biological organization. From this point going forward, pay attention to any ideas that come to mind and write them down. Biological organization begins with the universe, a macrocosm of humans. And like the human, the universe is vast and intricate in its biological organization. The galaxies are like the cells in our body. Its time space is structured in a way that we can see and recognize, not only through a telescope, but from an inner world lens. How do we define this biological structure? We know that there are galaxies, galaxies form clusters, clusters forms realms, realms forms cosmos, cosmos forms universes, and it's interminable. The physical body, or the Anamaya Kosha, refers to the way humans organize their time spaces so they can eat. In other words, human time space is largely organized around food and feeding. And this can be observed in the business district of virtually any city on the planet. These business districts, which are time spaces, are largely organized around numerous eateries and cafes and restaurants, vendors, and mini marts. But most people do not consider where the food from these eateries come from. The point is that the majority of the social organization of time space revolves around food and the feeding of the body. Let's contemplate how society is organized to satisfy the physical body for us. What happens if we change our eating habits and adopt a vegan or a raw food diet? What about a liquid diet? How does that affect our perception of time space? Will it make us sharper in receiving downloads? Would it increase our brain fruit? How did our ancestors perceive food? And I want you to think about that question going back further than the Homo sapien era. Was food so integrated into their time space that it did not affect them at all? We know that food is needed for energy in the 3rd dimensional body. What other types of so-called food may have been consumed? Food is a very big deal. From the food processing centers to its nefarious control by those that want to control humankind, all the way to prices. which is a big theme with the Democratic Party right now, of price control. This affects the mechanization of time-space. How can we envision something better? How do you see the need for food evolving as we build the new earth? Using your imaginal realm, how do you see the body evolving? If given a choice to incarnate back on earth, what changes do you want to see and experience? Ken 49, the red planetary moon. The moon has the power of universal water, the action to purify, and the essence of flow. Time, B3H2. Time is located in the first time dimension, first mental sphere. It is on the 8th magnitude of the 5th force of superconscious, coordinating the circuit of alpha-alpha channel. Sublimates, which is an interaction, the transfer of internal 5D time signals of galactic integrity to radio sense core of cosmic creation. That whole definition gives us a location, but now let us interpret this information. And when we know the 13 tones of creation, then we know that the essence of the galactic tone is integrity. Time is a universal factor of synchronicity, but it's also a frequency. The law of vibration tells us that if we desire to experience something, that we have to vibrate to its frequency. When the energy is sublimating, which it is here, that means that there is an interaction that is occurring. The radio sense core deals with how we feel through our senses: touch, taste, smell, sound, and vision. My interpretation of this time matrices is that whatever it is that we want to come into the third dimension, it will have integrity. It must be something that will benefit more than just ourselves. Since time is an alpha-alpha cosmic creation, if we desire to acknowledge and develop our superpowers, such as telepathy, an open third eye, clairvoyance, precognition, etc., we can do so with the assurance that there is integrity. It will stand the test of time, pun intended. Space, V2H5. Fourth magnitude of the 5th force superconscious coordinating circuit of alpha-alpha channel. Activate and transfer the internal 5D time signals of self-existing form to radio sense core of cosmic creation. Again, we have one of the matrices, space, in the 5th force, superconscious, where we see the 4th magnitude is activating in the radio sense core. Something is being activated in our space through the essence of form, and we know that that is the essence of the self-existing tone. Alpha-alpha deals with cosmic creation. That means that we're mastering the cosmic forces in our space. Now, alpha-alpha also deals with profound samadhi, which is being aware through deep concentration. Here is where we can create and form the type of space that we desire for a new world. Synchronicity, V7H9. It is on the 12th magnitude of alpha-alpha. Hyperplasma sublimates external space flow of cosmic creation in the first outer time dimension. Force field of profound samadhi, first dimension. Sublimated by the red quali thermic force field of superconscious paranormality, the 5th dimension. Synchronicity, it is the operation of a higher moving template of mathematical order that coordinates all phenomena telepathically. Therefore, we don't call it coincidence. We call it being synced. Synchronicity is sublimating or magnitude 12. Here we don't use tones because it doesn't involve the radio sense core. Instead, we are dealing with receiving telepathic mind programs from higher dimensions. That's the superconscious. Think of the Matrix when they loaded those programs, when Neo needed to learn something or Morpheus needed to teach him something, he would call back and say, hey, download this program. Well, keep that in mind, because here we can download through profound samadhi for whatever we need to learn, to be taught, to be in sync. Peace to the gods.